conviction. Just one of the most extraordinary stories. But as they say, a great police work, so well done for the prosecution. 8 o'clock, Boris Williamson and Shane Jones after 8 with our political panel roundup too. That should be a surprise. I'll ask him about the mayoralty. It's 8 o'clock, news time.
Just solely the people who don't have the right papers, the undocumented workers living in the United States, the vast majority of whom are Mexican. So there's a desire from the Peña Nieto administration to be part of that debate, to be part of the decision making, if it's an expanded guest worker program, for example, changes to the normalization of the status of those who are currently living under the radar in the United States.
And we get great results, and we can call on the advisory service, and it's great knowing that they have got the depth and breadth of services that a manufacturer needs in New Zealand.
To join the EMA, visit ema.co.nz or call 0800 800 362.
What does hygiene mean to you? It's easy to see if something is clean, but you can't see hygiene, and what you can't see can affect the health of your staff, customers and business.
Hello, I'm Izzy. My show is set in my hometown of Matlock in Derbyshire, and I'm aware that you might not have all been there. So here's a letter my mum wrote to me to give you an idea of the way of life there. Dear Izzy, a brochure arrived today explaining lots of things about the council tax. One of the things explained is that if you are in prison...
It's sweet, it's thick, and Prosecco is light, and it's sparkling.
Very
so
lovely. Yeah.
no connection whatsoever. What will happen to your winery and to other wineries making Prosec if you can't use the name?
We're not sure of exactly how definite is this ban and what if the sanctions will happen. What will happen. It's not a huge quantity that we are making, nor other wineries, but it's more that it's part of this ban and what if the sanctions will happen. What will happen. It's not a huge quantity that we are making, nor other wineries, but it's more that it's part of local culture.
It's sweet, it's thick, and Prosecco is light, and it's sparkling.
Very
so
lovely.
no connection whatsoever. What will happen to your winery and to other wineries making Prosec if you can't use the name?
We're not sure of exactly how definite is this ban and what if the sanctions will happen. What will happen. It's not a huge quantity that we are making, nor other wineries, but it's more...
Some over the edge.
Tom Esselmont in Bulgaria. Fishing is the livelihood for millions of people on the West African coast. In Senegal last year, the president won plaudits for his tough stance on fishing rights for foreign trawlers in an attempt to stem declining fish stocks. But with overfishing still a problem, some communities have decided to seize the initiative. In the southern region of Casamance, a project started by local fishermen 3 years ago has led to a thriving community-led marine conservation area, the first in the country, as Laila Ajobi reports.
It's a cruise with a difference to the mangroves. Here in the district of Mongagulak, some local fishermen are watching over the river. As part of the community conservation project called Kawawana, their river patrols are working to enforce fishing regulations. Salatou Sambou is one of the founders.
This initiative didn't come from the state, it came from the communities of fishermen who noticed that our resources are dwindling. There is overfishing, and most of the time it's not even local.
Why is a convention centre such a big deal?
There's a circuit that goes around the Asia-Pacific region. New Zealand hasn't been able to participate in that for a long time. We haven't been able to do it because we haven't had a convention centre.
What's next for this story? Listen for news as it happens across the day and the full update on Radio Live Drive with Duncan Garner from 3.
Best suited to the role when he plays the majority of his rugby at fullback.
Well, it makes it hard. I mean, I guess some guys can do it, but I sort of firmly believe you need to be trained in that position to become good. And I mean, midfield's it's a pretty tough position, defensively, attack-wise.
Cullen, a very good example of a fullback going to centre. Cullen's also a fan of Chiefs player Tim Nano Williams, powerful Blues centre Randy Ranger, who just has to be in the squad, otherwise somebody's had a full frontal lobotomy.
Already, it's very important for the state to progressively be able to deliver these basic services for children to go back to school, for roads to be rebuilt, because otherwise we believe, well,
the declaration of a state of emergency generally, I think it is generally expected that government will do something drastic. But I think that there is an issue with the number of states involved. Maybe Borno and Yobe is justified. But in the case of Adamawa State, I think there is a widespread feeling that perhaps the yellow card has been flashed to the wrong player.
The situation in Adamawa is generally calm, but there is apprehension among some people, as Dr. John Gamsa of the Moduba Adama University.
Well, and he had just woken up. The cricket team got 68. We got 68 at Lords, the home of cricket. So back to form at the home of cricket's not good. Top score, I think, was about 17, so all out for 68. So a complete shellacking by England. Not an outright win, but almost as close. All out for 68. 8 o'clock, latest news in sport. Hilary Berry, Hamish McCoy.
Coffees and newspapers and magazines, you know the type of place. So she went in to get a coffee, well, a wine actually, because they sell wine in them as well, so she tells me. So she got a wine which she uses to forget about her children and female oppression. And while she was in the queue, apparently, she noticed loads of copies of quite explicit lads magazines and copies of the Daily Sport on the bottom shelf, where a 5-year-old boy was looking at them. So she picked them all up, took them outside and put them in the bin. And she said that nobody even noticed. And then she put loads of banana skins and teas and coffees all over them so that other men couldn't read them for free. I think she needs to cut down on the drink a bit. Anyway, for me personally, the idea of going topless for feminism is slightly flawed. So I won't be following Femin's example. Not on the radio, anyway. Not again. It's made absolutely no difference to the listeners at home or the studio audience, who appear to be jaded by my breasts, if anything. Now, where's my bra gone? I hope that mouse hasn't eaten it.
The feel-good factor was hard to come by this week, but there was a little surge of patriotic pride with the news of a mere 52 years after Yuri Gagarin became the first man in space. We in Britain have our first official British astronaut, Tim Peake. Although what constitutes an official astronaut is unclear, since there have been other Brits in space. But Michael Foale, Helen Sharman and Wallace and Gromit clearly don't count. Helen Sharman was a woman and went on a Russian mission.
And it is difficult because we just get no feedback.
5 people have been on trial, including the owner of the mall and the childcare centre where Lily, Jackson and Wilshire died.
Key evidence hasn't been...
And she's Caucasian, I'm not.
Yep.
Now, one thing I can tell you is, compared to many other countries in the world, New Zealand has actually have a good rap.
500 fully paid up members. President Robin Gunston says they do have more than 500, but simply couldn't contact them all to verify they're still with the party. Hetaraka Hikurangi Rehana had admitted responsibility for the death of 2 of his cousins in a car crash on Christmas Day. There's a risk that the number of Māori seats in Parliament could be cut back. With me now is Māori Party co-leader Dr. Peter Sharples. Good morning, thank you for your time.
Kia ora.
Do you think the Māori Party should take some responsibility for the lack of interest for Māori in joining the Māori role?
Well, I can understand that there's a promoted by the media, there's a bit of discussion about the hard journey that the Māori Party has had as a minority party in the national government and the issues that have...
The report is critical for Gillard.
Mr Shorten has indicated publicly that he's supporting me.
MPs acknowledge the speculation is harming the party, and a former Labour Party leader says Kevin Rudd is to blame, and every time he gets in front of a camera, he undermines the Prime Minister.
Well, this is a program, a jihad of revenge, the like of which we've never seen before. You're getting into the realm of evil here with Rudd, the realm of evil.
Rudd supported...
Although injury means that could now change, we'll have the details. Right, also ahead.
I'm Ashley Tulloch and I'll be interviewing
Francois Bourse ahead of his fight against Joseph Parker tonight at Auckland's Trust Arena.
Thanks, Ash. Plus, how Gisborne surfer Ricardo Christie is once again chasing his dream.
To run our system on the smell of an oily rag, really, compared with, best international practice. And we could do with more resources, but, we're like anybody else that feeding off the taxpayer system.
But I imagine people would be surprised to think that it does run on a smell of...
First round overnight. Artemis in a race against time to close the gap on Luna Rossa. The Time Cup in San Francisco. Swedish syndicate impressed in its first competitive sail of the regatta with a 2-minute defeat yesterday, hoping for more gains in this morning's second race of the semi. Athletics ruling body is set to double the ban for first-time offenders in a crackdown on dopers ahead of the World Championship in Moscow Saturday night. Kiwi swimmer Lauren Boyles almost broke the short course world record after winning the 800-metre freestyle title at the FINA World Cup in the Netherlands. She's on fire. I'm Hamish Mackay. It's 24 minutes away from 8. Your updated weather's next.
Live traffic with Mitre 10 Mega Albany cleaning up. Good morning. A lot of fog for traffic travelling in from the west still. The traffic itself is heavy at Royalty Attitude. That tail for the southern links around Bond Street. We've also got fog affecting traffic along Upper Harbour Highway this morning. Coming in on the southern, you're moderate most of the way and then heavy between Princess Street and Ellerslie, and a slow run through on the northern from Greville. A high of 18 for the city this afternoon. Join Mitre 10 Mega Albany this weekend for the Cleaning Expo deals and family fun.
Business success is seeing your company profiled in the business section.
This is a great day.
But it's also seeing Saturday sales in your account on Saturday night. That's a great day. With ASB's unique 7-day settlement, your FPOS and credit card sales go into your account the same day.
Scientific basis for understanding whether there's life in the universe, and if it is there, whether it's similar to Earth life, and if it's not, why it's not there.
Rebecca Morell in the depths of a salt mine in northeast England. Now, if you work night shifts, like many of us do here at the BBC World Service, this next story is one that affects you. If you don't, it might just leave you feeling a bit better about the hours you do work. Research published in the Journal of Neuroscience found that hamsters kept under blue or white lights at night, the kind found in most offices, become depressed, but those kept under red lights were happier. It's thought the same phenomenon applies to humans, suggesting night shift workers would feel better in red-lit offices. Dr. Tracy Bedrosian is one of the scientists behind the study.
We know that there's a subset of neurons in your retina that are most sensitive to blue wavelengths of light and least sensitive to red wavelengths. And these cells are important because they send information about the time of day to your brain and they can affect mood. So we investigated how different colors of light might actually affect mood differently using hamsters.
But will this research really benefit night workers?
Of course, this is research in animals, so it's hard to say how it will exactly translate to humans. However, I think it's a possibility that using red lights in some circumstances, wherever it's possible, might actually be beneficial. One thing that comes to mind is nurses that have to go into their patient rooms late at night, and they typically turn on all the lights, which is disruptive to both them and their patient. And so using red lights in a case like that might make sense.
Dr. Tracy Bedrosian, one of the scientists behind that study. Well, I'm on day shifts this week, so you can listen to the updated version of the Global News podcast from me in around 24 hours' time. There'll be another one to download a little earlier, though, in around 12 hours. I'm Maddie.
Thank you for it. Rest easy with Pinnacle Life. pinnaclelife.co.nz. First in online life insurance.
EBLS provides learning solutions that adapt and grow alongside you and your business. They're continuing.
Care vouchers which will not be available to stay-at-home mothers who you
Nielsen rather, is named to the seats despite being full stop.
Head in store or online at dixsmith.co.nz now.
With a Powerball ticket this week, you could win $17 million. You can dance on the table, buy a supercar, hire a chauffeur and retire early. Without a ticket, you could win the affections of a stray kitten. Or a game of cards. Lotto. Winning happens, but only if you buy a ticket.
Diamonds.
Gold.
If you have any diamond rings, loose diamonds, broken gold or jewellery that you don't want anymore, dollar dealers and the casino.
We have vigorous cattle control.
And Ava was doing her
flamenco dancing, which she did everywhere, in restaurants when you were with her. She was doing this dancing. And she suddenly saw me sitting, and she said, Francis, she said, you're with me.